My name is Raisha Jackson, and I've been super stoked to do this presentation, so I just appreciate everyone taking time out of this lovely Friday to learn about the 5 ways beauty is leading innovation. Thank you for joining us at the 11th Annual Denver Startup Week. Thank you to our sponsors, Amazon, Capital One Cafe, Dell for Startups, and Downtown Denver Partnership. This session is part of the Spotlight track sponsored by Chase and Southwest, one of 8 programming tracks aimed at supporting the entire entrepreneurial team. By attending this session, you are agreeing to follow the code of conduct as well as being photographed or recorded in this video. Be sure to share your experience at this session online using hashtag Denver Startup Week or hashtag Denver Beauty Network. So my name is Raisha Jackson. I live in Denver, Colorado. I know some people are not from Colorado who've been attending DSW this week, but I am a senior copywriter and content creator. I've written for 303 Magazine. I've also submitted TikTok scripts for Microsoft, so I very much am a beauty tech hybrid. And I also do professional beauty reviews with Picky and Beauty Tap, where I get exclusive Sephora round products released by Kosas, Key Soul Care. So I'm very savvy with beauty products. So if you are interested in connecting with me, there are QR codes for my LinkedIn and my calendar. So my business is Madam Biz Beauty. It's a beauty tech platform that makes it easier to find and book multicultural beauticians in Denver. And so these are just some of the stats that we've had over the last year. 5% increase on TikTok discussing beauty nightmares and the difficulty of online beauty booking. I've submitted over 150 beauty reviews for different brands. I have 145 beauticians on the database to date and have just had different partnerships for beauty brands. And I currently have 8 content channels, including Beauty Bullshit, which is my Substack newsletter where I just talk about the good, the bad, and the bullshit in beauty. So many people may not know, but the beauty industry is very much segregated. 85% of the ethnic hair and beauty market were consumed by Black people, but McKinsey & Company just released a report this year saying that only 5% of beauty professionals are Black. So that's a very big disconnect that Madam Biz Beauty follows and is just really focusing on more inclusive beauty culture. So how is beauty a leader in innovation? Unfortunately, the beauty industry is not recognized as an industry on LinkedIn. It's super frustrating. So that's why it can be really tough to find beauty jobs on LinkedIn. So you kind of have to do your research. I have a beauty job board called Beauty Jobs for Baddies. So if you can connect with me, you can follow those. But I consolidate all of these different beauty jobs because they are quite difficult to find. But the beauty industry is constantly evolving. It's pushing boundaries, especially within age and gender. It's no longer just for women. It is for all people. And it is quite resilient. With the pandemic, there were a ton of beauty service providers who were really finding other ways because they're not essential. And so they were finding lots of other ways to make money, like selling press-on nails and just providing services, providing classes online, so extremely resilient. And in 2021, the beauty and personal care categories increased sales of 16% overall compared to the previous year. And a ton of job diversity. You don't have to be a makeup artist to be in the beauty industry. You could be a cosmetic chemist, you could be a data analyst, you could be focusing on marketing and sales. So it is very much more expansive than what people believe it to be. And beauty is more than makeup. It's skincare, it's nails, it's hair care, it's fragrance, it's aesthetics, so plastic surgery, injectables, waxing, and lashes. And it's at a point now where you don't have to be a huge mogul to tap into the beauty industry. This TikTok account that I follow, Makeup for Women of Color, or WOC, she only has 8,000 views for this video, but she's landing $14,000 brand deals. So you could be someone who's just starting out in the industry and have a lot of opportunities, but you could also be Huda or James. So there's a whole market of opportunities to make money. So some of you may not, would not have imagined this, but there are robots doing beauty services now, and especially as Madam Biz Beauty focuses on some of the difficulties of beauty booking and beauty nightmares, it's not so surprising that they're finding robots to kind of leap over these negative customer service experiences. So right now there's a company called Clockwork where they provide 10-minute manicures, so not acrylic nails, but just the nail polish. And these are being done for $10 in Targets in Minnesota, Texas, and California. There's also Loom Lash, which just received $2.9 billion seed investment from Ulta. And they are doing lash extensions, and by 2023, they want to be doing these 3 to 4 times faster than what it would take for an esthetician to do it themselves. So that first way that beauty's leading innovation is emerging technology. Emerging technologies are technological innovations that represent progressive developments and a competitive advantage in the industry. So we have AR, AI, IoT, and VR, and I'll talk about all of those. AR, or augmented reality, is essentially digital overlays in the real world. So this is your Snapchat filters, your Pokemon Go, but it's also your try-on filters that you can do on Ulta or Sephora and try on eyeshadows, makeups, eyeliners, and things like that. Now, they're still early on, so they're not always accurate, but they are ways that they're trying to implement more technology into the beauty industry. AI is another way that this is happening, and this is through personalization. Personalization is a huge way that beauty companies are making money because customers are more likely to purchase when they feel that things are made for them. And so this is where your AI or your artificial intelligence is coming in, really assessing that data and personalizing the experience for a customer online. IoT is Internet of Things. These are different digital devices connected through a mesh network. And an example of this would be the Dior Skin Analyzer. And so the Dior Skin Analyzer is you can go into, it's in Dubai, and you can go into this shop, get your skin analyzed, and then they will personalize a skin routine for you in the store. And then VR, virtual reality or immersive reality. This is how companies are giving customers a way to experience products online, being able to look at them better. And so like Estee Lauder and Charlotte Tilbury are brands who are experimenting with VR, virtual reality, and the metaverse. And so as you can see here in 2020, Charlotte Tilbury released this virtual reality store for Christmas, which was full of lights, because especially during that time when people maybe weren't feeling safe to go out and have that Christmas shopping experience, she provided it for you right online. And other tools are LED masks, the Dyson, and the YSL lipstick printer, which customizes 1,000 lipstick shades that you can do in your home. So the next big thing is underrepresented markets. As I discussed, Black people were 85% of the ethnic hair and beauty market, but over time, we are just now starting to see color cosmetics become more inclusive. And so one of the biggest pioneers for this has been Rihanna Fenty, who I know we all know about. She started Fenty Beauty in 2017, and within the first full month, she made $72 million in sales. And this was because she had 40 makeup shades that was almost unheard of with a lot of other brands. And so in her first full calendar year, she made $550 million in annual revenues, simply because she expanded her shades to include particularly more people of color. And now you're seeing Lady Gaga with House Labs, who has just recently released House Labs this year, and it has 50 makeup shades, and it's doing numbers because the complexity of shade ranges are there for everybody. And McKinsey & Company did point out that addressing racial inequity in the beauty industry is a $2.6 billion opportunity. So inclusion is the second way that beauty is leading innovation. It's giving everyone a seat at the table, and especially in beauty, really evolving who makeup is for in terms of age, but also in terms of gender. And so expressing gender fluidity, back in the day, it would be silly to say that men can wear makeup, but today, it is totally all right for men to wear makeup, and brands are marketing to men for makeup as well. And especially with kids as well. So not only are older folks being included in terms of like skincare, like Bobbi Brown, but you're also seeing that younger folks are having better, more affordable makeup, like teenagers, to be able to experiment with makeup as well. So really removing boundaries. In terms of inclusion, the beauty industry has really rebranded over the last 50 years, and I think that's super important. And then also really focusing on this new brand brand language where we're not talking about fixing your blemishes or changing your blemishes, but targeting those areas and really embracing differences, embracing wrinkles, embracing maybe like freckles and things of that nature instead of trying to get rid of them. So the beauty industry is really allowing people, if you're not into makeup, you can always be into skincare because beauty's got its hands on both markets. And so inclusion, especially on TikTok, has been extremely inspiring. I see the beauty industry really opening its arms up to anyone who is interested in makeup. And so the one approach that I really love are these 3 brands on the side, which are Keys Soul Care, the Inky List, and the Ordinary. And these are all very gender neutral marketing. It's limiting the hot pinks and the floral scents and really going for fragrance-free, neutral colors that are open to everyone. And so men feel more comfortable having this maybe in their shower versus a hot pink bottle, with hearts on it. So they're taking this gender neutral approach and they're getting a lot of sales from men as much as women. And the other big thing is just influencer culture with inclusion. As you can see here, Gabe Adams is an extremely inspiring makeup TikToker. He does all of his makeup with his own methodology because he does not have limbs. And so this has been a way that people in makeup have really been able to embrace everyone and show that makeup, what we thought makeup could be and what makeup application was, is no longer. And so I just see the beauty industry really opening its arms up to everyone and making it an accessible and welcoming place. So the third way that beauty is leading innovation is I'll get to that, but collabs don't have to make sense, right? So we see here these makeup sponges with Ulta Beauty merging with the Thor movie. We have Stranger Things and MAC doing a collab. e.l.f. has done things with Chipotle as well as Dunkin' Donuts. And there's even Makeup Revolution partnering with The Simpsons. And you see this Bart palette he's a crow, and you're like, well, what the hell? But they don't have to make sense. And so thinking about some ways or brands or other friend founders that you have that you can partner with, that you'd be like, well, why would I partner with them? That doesn't make sense. Well, it doesn't have to, because as you can see with the beauty industry, they're able to do this cross-collab marketing and continue to not only create loyalty with their own fan base, but then connect with other fan bases that are loyal to the brand that they're partnering with. And so that's the third way, is customer loyalty. I don't see some industries, retaining customers the way that you see the beauty industry doing it. Not only is the beauty industry, some people, like my grandma who's been buying the same Clinique foundation for the last 30 years, but now you see people doing this cross-marketing collabs and tapping in with influencers and tapping in with other brands, and some collabs just don't make sense, and that's totally fine. The big thing is that customers want more innovative ways of unlocking loyalty. It's not just enough to spend money with a brand anymore, because you're spending money, but you also want to be compensated for your engagement and for your contributions on social, because those can do numbers for a company. So exploring ways to build customer loyalty. I even just saw that Ulta had a huge increase in sales when they were giving people partial shares because you can invest in them on the Dow. And so having more emotional partnerships, really tapping into influencer marketing. If you're on TikTok, you see that PRs and unboxing are just like, they're the go-to now. And brands are spending a lot of money on PR boxing because they create special experiences for their customers who are committed to them. And so I just saw something that said, why are celebrity brands so successful? Does anyone know? Why are celebrity brands so successful? Absolutely. The answer was that they already have a fan base, and that is completely right. Yes, you could say that they have money, but the reason that they're so successful is because there's a person behind the brand. And so brands that typically don't do well typically don't have this image or this person that people can connect with. And so when celebrities have their fan base, they also have emotional ties to this celebrity, and that's why they're investing money. And so the fourth way that beauty is leading innovation is e-commerce. So in 2020, Sephora generated $1.7 billion and Ulta did $1.76 billion. So they are doing absolute numbers with their e-commerce. And it's a big reason is because they have affordable options. And so it's really important to have accessible options for markets like Gen Z and millennials. The Deloitte Global 2022 Gen Z and Millennial Survey pointed out that Gen Zers and millennials biggest concern was the cost of living, like housing, transportation, bills, etc. And so it's really important to understand that about your customer base and to realize that everybody's not gonna go out and pay for the Chanel blush, but they might pay for the e.l.f. blush that's a dupe. And so they might buy 10 of those just simply because they're at a cheaper price. And so it's really important to focus on that, and that's definitely what the beauty industry is doing with its e-commerce. And so as we know, e-commerce is the buying and selling of goods online, and it's important today to have products that can sell themselves. Advertising costs are skyrocketing across platforms, according to the Shopify, the Future of Commerce in 2022 report. And so you really do have to foster long-term relationships with your clients, build that customer loyalty, and have products that sell themselves, because I'm sure many of us are familiar with TikTok made me buy it, and that's how a lot of these beauty brands are selling their products. So in 2022, U.S. cosmetics and beauty retail e-commerce sales will more than double those in 2019, so going from $9.21 billion to $18.6 billion. And then in 2026, those e-commerce sales are projected to account for nearly a third of the category in total retail sales. So e-commerce is a huge chunk of the beauty industry. And e.l.f. is setting the bar. So e.l.f. is one of my favorite brands. And they recently just shared that they have become the first in the beauty industry to achieve the Fair Trade USA certification for their manufacturing facility. And so Fair Trade is a form of sustainability. So Fair Trade is an arrangement designed to help producers in growing countries achieve sustainable and equitable trade relationships. So this means that we're not going to other countries and harvesting natural resources or harvesting products that hurt that community or don't pay that community well. And that is what e.l.f. is doing right now with this, setting the bar high with this new fair trade arrangement that they have for their manufacturing facility. And not only that, but e.l.f. is leading the bar with having all vegan products. It's extremely affordable. You can find it in grocery stores. You can find it in Target, at Ulta, and it's typically in the drugstore aisle. So it's able to be reached by all audiences. And it's very much consumer driven. If you're a LinkedIn nerd, you should totally follow e.l.f. Their engagement's off the wall. They're posting regularly. Their jobs are on there. If you're looking for maybe some inspiration for your brand on how to interact with companies or interact with clients on LinkedIn, I absolutely recommend e.l.f. They're awesome. And they also, they're a conglomerate at this point, sort of. So, Keys Soul Care by Alicia Keys is underneath them. Well People is underneath them. So they have more than one brand underneath the e.l.f. umbrella. And so that is the last way that beauty is leading innovation, is sustainability. And sustainability is the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. We don't want to deplete communities or deplete resources putting out a product. And that's one thing that I really love about the Inky List. They are also probably one of the more affordable brands in Sephora, selling things for typically under $20. And their whole marketing tactic right now is good skincare doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to buy the Clinique cleansing balm anymore, because there are brands who believe that you can access high quality skincare at an affordable price. And so not only does it need to be affordable, but it needs to be sustainable. But some brands are like, well, we've harvested this and this is a really special ingredient, but if it's depleting communities and it costs me $150, and I have to have it be UV safe, then it's kind of not worth the money, right? So the components of sustainability are impact. So how does the life cycle of your product impact communities? Are you paying people well? Are you having a long harvesting time for certain ingredients that you need for your product? Also focusing on just ingredients and formulation, making sure that it's vegan and fair trade. Packaging is a huge way that beauty is focusing on innovation right now in terms of just making sure that it's compostable. One brand I really love is Versed Beauty, and so they have a recycling program similar to Lush that they do, so that they're using like recycled plastic for their packaging. And also focusing on the life cycle. Where does it start and where does it end? It's nice if you have recyclable plastic, but if people aren't recycling it or you don't have a program that leverages that from your clients, then it's still going in the trash typically. So making sure that, if you do have packaging that maybe isn't good for the environment, you at least want to educate your clients on what else they could do, or customers on what else they could do to make it better for the environment. And that's also focused on, the Deloitte Global 2022 Gen Z and Millennial Survey, which said that Gen Zers and Millennials are doing their part. 9 in 10 are making some type of effort to protect the environment. And so it really is important to tap into that because sustainability is a huge way to boost ROI. People want to help the environment, especially in Colorado. I'm from the Midwest, where it's you don't hardly ever see recycling bins on the street, but then you can always find them here. So I think it's important to tap into your community and know what people want, and people will pay for a product that impacts the environment positively. So I guess this is a little bit faster because I did have an hour, but yeah. So this is my call to action. Basically, if you're interested in beauty or interested about the ways that beauty is leading innovation, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you'd like to do a collaboration and it doesn't make sense, book time with me. I'd love to talk about it. Be a butler. If you know any beauty professionals or multicultural beauty professionals who are looking to have a larger platform, are looking to be a part of a multicultural database in Denver, please point them in my direction. I'd love to connect with them. And also just point beauticians towards LinkedIn. I have written articles about how beauticians and beauty professionals in general really are not welcomed on LinkedIn. I really haven't met a lot of beauty professionals at Denver Startup Week, but the majority of the entrepreneurs I know are beauty professionals. So I do think there's a disconnect there, and I think that it is important that we get more beauty professionals on LinkedIn. So that would be my call to action to y'all, is if you know a beauty professional, there's a lot of ways they can get paid and expand their businesses on LinkedIn. So that would be my call to action for y'all. And my second call to action, this is an extra slide, but these are just some of the brands that I really love. If you're looking for inspiration or brands that are just have really inspiring stories, definitely check out Huda Beauty. I love Huda. And she has a really inspiring story. Versed Beauty, as I mentioned, is an accessible brand that has an amazing packaging program where they're just trying to, limit plastic. Juvia's Place is one of my favorite brands ever. It's super affordable, and they have the most pigmented palettes ever. So if you're looking to get a really nice pigmented palette under $20, I would totally check out Juvia's Place. And that e.l.f. Halo Glow, I don't know or the liquid filter, if anyone's used it. It's viral on TikTok, but I bought some, and it's amazing. So would definitely recommend that as well. And that is it for me. Thank you so much for coming to my session today. It's really exciting to see everyone here, and I just appreciate you giving me some of your time. And so I will give you your time back. I don't know if there's any questions, no pressure, but if there are questions, there's time. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think this was so exciting for me because I wasn't going to come to Denver Startup Week, and I just saw the email telling about this session, and I was like, all right, I'm driving to Denver. So thank you. It was really wonderful. Well, this was my question, but then you answered it. What brands are your faves? And so that was awesome. But one side you mentioned celebrities and their brands working because of their fan base. Do you think there's been just everyone starting a skincare brand like J.Lo Beauty, and then Kim Kardashian launched this. I know most things she does are super successful, but I don't know, what are your thoughts on, I'm just big in skincare, and I was just like, okay, there's so many brands now, and every person has their name skincare brand. And I'm like, are they good? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I do think that, you know, the market is definitely becoming saturated with a lot of celebrities who want their own skincare brands, and are able to push them out. I think the positive part is that there are all these celebrities that have skincare brands and they're still like making money from, obviously they have other assets, but I think in regards to their beauty brands, people will still buy it. Not that, you know, I think if you're like a skincare like fanatic, you could go in and like, you know, purchase it and review it online, and that's kind of like your experience with it. But I do think that it's important to, you know who you're following, because every skincare brand's not good or successful. And I was definitely gonna kind of talk about the KKW, like Kim Kardashian West. Her makeup brand really flopped, and with Kylie too. Like Kylie's brand is one of the top Shopify stores right now, with like 20,000 views a day. But there's a lot of conversations on TikTok right now about Kylie just really being out of touch with like Gen Zers and millennials and really not doing her customer research. And so she's trying to sell products to people, but she's just very much out of touch with them. So she's able to still make sales, but I think it's just interesting to see that like she's not staying on top of people being like, I don't really have the money to buy a $40 lip kit. And she's very much out of touch. And so it's not that her brand's doing bad, but I think there's been some pushback that she's not seen before because she's just not keeping it like up to date with it. So I think it just depends on the celebrity. I know like Lori Harvey came out with her skincare line, and people like Lori Harvey, and she's beautiful, but they're kind of like, the marketing for this just didn't, like it, there wasn't much effort put into it. So yeah, I think it just depends. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for your presentation. You had touched on the beginning, beauty not being an industry on LinkedIn, and then kind of expanded a little bit further. And one of those topics, you know, just as an example, waxing, kind of, you can kind of spread the focus. Whenever it comes to hair, salon, kind of, you know, a lot of what you touched on were cosmetics or skin care. Do you have any point of view on kind of those related but adjacent topics, for example, like hair or salon or something of the sort?
So let me clarify. So piggybacking off of beauty's not an industry on LinkedIn. And so you're asking me if, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the presentation was focusing on skincare, cosmetics, and things that kind of, we'll call it like a material side.
Sure.
But the service line, I would say, you know, salon, barber,
Sure.
environment, like is there any point of view that you may have on innovation or what you've seen trending in that category?
Yeah. In terms of what's trending with service providers, I think that, you know, especially during COVID, and still in the ends of COVID with beauticians who don't really want to be too close with clients, I've seen a lot of people, like I had mentioned, like nail techs who couldn't be one-on-one with clients anymore, who were like making their own press-on nails. I saw a lot of innovation in terms of people just putting out their own classes and delivering classes online to teach people either how to braid or teach people how to do their own makeup, or even sometimes just like a guided shopper. Like, I'm a makeup artist, book me for 30 minutes and I will take you through the Sephora store to get you your bridal makeup. So I saw a lot of innovation in that way. But I will say that since, you know, restrictions have lifted, I'm not seeing as much of that anymore. I hope that answered your question.
I'm curious, what are your thoughts on what the fashion industry could learn from the beauty industry, or if there's anything that maybe the fashion industry is doing really well that you think could transfer over well to beauty?
Absolutely. So yeah, I definitely think the fashion industry is really putting its foot into the metaverse. I was gonna talk a little bit about this, but it wasn't fashion related, but like, I really love the Neon Carnival by Paris Hilton. I do love Paris Hilton. I am, you know, I'm 28, so I do love my Paris Hilton, but she, Yeah, she partnered with Levi's. Obviously, she's got quite a bit of capital to blow, but was able to throw Neon Carnival in the metaverse. She is very much like kind of considers herself the metaverse queen. And you're seeing a lot of this now too with like AR, augmented reality, where people are, you know, trying on clothes or trying on like digital clothes. I don't know, you know, they're still early, so they're not super successful. There's a YouTuber I found, and she's like, I wore digital clothes for a week. They were very weird. So I don't know how successful they are right now, but I do know that, you know, the fashion industry is very much, you know, leaning into the metaverse, giving people immersive and augmented experiences. What I do see a lot of are, you know, the fashion industry is not very sustainable. And so, and I think the beauty industry and the fashion industry both fall into this pitfall where it's like, it's green, it's good for you, and it's like, not. Or it's recycled, and then you like look at the life cycle, they're like, this isn't really recycled, but you know, they put that on there. So I think, you know, both the beauty industry and the fashion industry really focusing on what it means to be sustainable and really like doing the research behind that. I know that there's a brand called Orpheus Technology or Orpheus Skincare that I've gotten products from. And they're out of Europe, but they use this resurrection flower that's like both mythological, but it also like exists. And it's very rare, and they basically sustainably extract it with like biotechnology so that they're not like hurting the ecosystem that they're taking it from. And so I think both the fashion and beauty industry could be better about really letting customers peek behind the blinders and really giving the details of how it's sustainable, not just like take it and trust us, but like we're showing you the background of what we're doing and how it was harvested, how we're treating people in the warehouse, and just giving people a bit more transparency. Yeah. Any other? Yeah.
Hey, I wanted to wait till the end because I didn't want to ask a question that wasn't entirely directly related to your presentation. But I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how you launched your business, given that it's a marketplace connecting consumers and experts.
Thank you so much for your question. Yeah, so I'll just repeat. So Madam Biz Beauty is a beauty tech platform that connects clients to multicultural beauticians. And with that, it's been majority data collection. So connecting with beauticians, getting their information. But I think the big thing that Madam Biz has dealt with compared to like a style seat or something like that is that we're really focused on licensed beauticians. And that's kind of a big thing in at least the Black community where there are a lot of beauticians that are not licensed. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not good beauticians, but sometimes they're not following all the protocols. And so I think the big one, and I actually, yeah, so there's a big story about a woman who got her lash extensions and she was in her lash tech's house and her chihuahua came in and took her eyelid off. And so he tore her eyelid off. She had to have it surgically reconnected. And so that is something where it's like your pet shouldn't be in your workspace. And so back to your question is basically, even if someone is unlicensed, trying to figure out what their customer experience is like, because there are unlicensed people who have great customer experiences, but unfortunately the majority of bad experiences are unlicensed people. So to your question, I think the experience of building a database that connects consumers with businesses is making sure that customers are going to have a good experience. I think it's easy to have a database and have it be saturated with every beautician that you can find. But the reality is, if they get on my website and they find this beautician and they have a terrible experience, then I really haven't done my job. And so I think that's where, like, you know, the value prop that Madam Biz has over a style seat is that, like, we really want to guarantee that you're going to have a positive experience with this beautician. And so it's not just because they're licensed, but it's because they're covering all the other bases too. And so right now, we're evolving from V1 to V2, integrating a spreadsheet with awesome tables so that the customer experience is better, because the original database was just a little clunky and people weren't happy with it. So, and the UX was bad, pretty much. But all MVPs, I guess, have a shitty UX, but so. But yeah, so, yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. Okay, yeah. But yeah, any other questions? Cool. Well, I appreciate you all coming out on this lovely Friday. I will be at happy hour after this, so if you want to talk, by all means. But I hope you have a good rest of your Denver Startup Week.